Welcome to round 2 of Ferrari Challenge Japan for 2024. We are almost ready to go racing here at the famous Fuji Speedway, one of the most prolific venues on the Asian continent in motorsport. Of course, a former Japanese Grand Prix venue, still regarded as one of the most fabulous racing circuits on the international stage, hosting world championships and, of course, the top of the barrel in national racing to this very day. And this weekend is certainly a big one on the schedule, because for the second season in a row, the Ferrari Challenge Japan is on site and ready to go. And certainly all eyes, or at least a number of eyes, will be on that number 2 car that's going through center of grid at the moment. That is Yugo Iwasawa. He is in the Ferrari Japan entered car this week. Our series regulars, our regular front runners, the likes of Yuda Uchida, Nobuhiro Imada, joined this season by a Ferrari Challenge entry, which is being hot potatoed among some of the best young talent in Japan. Yuga Furatani used it to great effect at the Japanese Grand Prix weekend at Suzuka, the opening round of the 2024 Ferrari Challenge Japan season. Furatani managed to take both wins, had a brilliant battle though with Yuda Uchida going into that second race, an absolutely barnstorming second race of the weekend on at the Japanese Grand Prix support bill. This time Yugo Iwasawa is in the car. Iwasawa, 22-year-old racer. He will be one to watch. We'll tell you more about him. The blue and tricolor flagged car that you see there is Nobuhiro Imada. He is our pole sitter this time around. His first pole position of the year. Had a solid but not spectacular start to the season at Suzuka, certainly when compared to his closest title rival Yuda Uchida. Of course, Uchida, last year's Ferrari Challenge Japan champion, looking to retain the title. It does seem as though Nobuhiro Imada will be his main competition for that. A little bit more about Iwasawa then. He debuted in GTs last year in the Super GT Championship, the prestigious national series of GT racing in Japan with Yogibo Racing, but Yogibo sadly not back in Super GT this year, so instead he's focusing on endurance racing and getting this opportunity now in the Ferrari Japan entry. Iwasawa will certainly be one to watch, and let's see how he stacks up against Uchida and Imada in Trofeo Pirelli. Trofeo Pirelli Am also with some new competitors. We've got 4 classes total on the grid. Trofeo Pirelli for our fastest drivers out there on the circuit. Trofeo Pirelli Am is the next step below, then Copa Shell and Copa Shell Am, 4 very strong classes, and a lot of eyes will be on this car. That is the 177, driven by racing debutant Yusaku Mizawa. Mizawa is a Japanese entrepreneur, art collector, founder of the Japanese online retail company Start Today, which is now broadly known as Zozo. Spent 12 days at the International Space Station in the recent past, and intends to be the first commercial passenger to fly around the moon, along with a hand-picked selection of artists who'll create works based on that experience. He is an arch supercar collector, very well known in Japan. His MZ Supercar Project collection is a big part of the Japanese, or more specifically the Tokyo supercar scene. A really, really interesting man, and someone who is a big deal in Japan. Very exciting to see him making his first steps in motorsport. There is our pole sitter though. There is Nobuhiro Imada heading down onto the famous start line here at Fuji Speedway. The big grandstand to his left. This is a very challenging circuit. It's a circuit that has shifted shape over the years, of course, a much different facility than it was in its early days. But here is a look at the now 16 corner layout. Of course, that famous kilometre long straight into turn 1. Turn 1, one of the obvious overtaking opportunities. Turn 10 as well is certainly one to watch out for. That final section, so technical, so complex, making sure you don't burn out your rear tyres through the half-hour plus 1 lap distance will be critical there. It sounds silly, but if you are spinning the tyres out of each and every corner and fighting against the traction control and the other driver aids through that twisty final section, by the end of the race, your rear tyres might be starting to plead enough. So then, you have a look here as the various dignitaries look at this wonderful grid of Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo machinery. Of course, the Challenge Evo 488 Challenge Evo in its last season in the spotlight in Ferrari Challenge Japan and Ferrari Challenge UK. The 296 is already starting to appear in the series in North America and Europe, and glowing reviews from drivers who've driven that car, including Motohiko Isozaki, who is also racing in Ferrari Challenge Europe. He is on the grid today. We just saw our pole sitter there giving the thumbs up to the roving camera down there on the grid. Nobuhiro Imada joined by Yuga Irasawa on the front row of the grid. What can Iwasawa do from the front row? And will Yudai Uchida on the inside line of row 2 be able to maybe try and slide in? Yudai Uchida will be very keen to try and move up into the top 2, maybe even challenge Imada into the first corner. He wants a full haul of points. He wants his first win of the season. Of course, it's easy to forget that he's yet to win a race. Uchida, who has been one of the strongest drivers in the Asian region in Ferrari Challenge for a number of years, a former champion in Asia Pacific and indeed last year's Ferrari Challenge Japan champion in the inaugural season. He is a driver that we would expect to be a winner already, but of course, thanks to Yuga Furatani, he's yet to get a win. Makoto Fujiwara at the front of the Trofeo Pirelli AM order. He gives us a big wave from 4th on the grid. It's his first appearance of the season, twice a Copa Shell champion in Ferrari Challenge Asia Pacific. Here's the grid in full then. Iwasawa and Nobuhiro Imada on row 1, Uchida and Fujiwara on row 2. Then it's Akita there on row 3. He'll be one to watch as well, alongside Isosaki, Yagura, Coldmax, Shirasaki and Deske, bringing us down to 10th place. Iritani in 11th place. The 152 car of Shimoyama also well up there as well, continuing to run through the grid. Good to see Koji Iyama. He is on row 11 of the grid. Didn't get to race at the season opening Japanese Grand Prix weekend, but you see there the grid down to 16 rows. It's a record grid of 32 cars taking the start. We broke the record for Ferrari Challenge Japan grid at Suzuka. 29 cars taking the start there. This time, we expect a full quota of 32 on the grid. In its second season, Ferrari Challenge Japan really is flourishing, and it is a great time to get involved in Ferrari racing, Ferrari Challenge racing globally. Of course, a great number of these drivers will no doubt compete at the Finale Mondiale. Finale Mondiale event, of course, the annual crescendo, the annual climax to the Ferrari Challenge season. This year set to take place at Imola. And you can see everybody getting ready, everybody excited down there to be a part of the preparations for this one. You can see the sea of red there, a huge number of engineers on hand to make sure that everyone is looked after down there on the grid, that all of the cars are technically looked after. And you see there 4 lights left at the top of the gantry. That means we are roughly 4 minutes away from seeing this one properly get started. There is Hiwatashi, good to see him 19th on the grid. One of the leading Copa Shell AM runners. Everyone now vacating the grid. We are just a few moments away from going racing. So to recap how things stand in the championship right now, it is Yudai Uchida, the leader among those who are here this weekend. Yuga Furatani left as championship leader in Trofeo Pirelli, but of course he's not here, so he won't factor in for championship points. Yudai Uchida, therefore, then is effectively our championship leader ahead of Nobuhiro Imada. Imada sits third in the championship points behind Furatani and Yudai Uchida. In the Trofeo Pirelli AM Championship, it is all tied up between Kanji Yagura and Akita. Akita, who of course was one of the highlights of the first race of the weekend at Suzuka in April. Massively happy to be on the overall podium on Japanese Grand Prix weekend. Lapped in every last moment of that experience and comes in tied at the top of the championship points with Kanji Yagura. So Akita and Yagura will be keeping an eye on each other in in Copa Shell. Second in Copa Shell at the moment is Masaru Yaneda. However, he is 9 points back from Yasutaka Shirasaki, leading the standings by 9 points, the largest margin of any of the four classes coming out of that first weekend. A near perfect opening weekend, taking 2 race victories after dramas in qualifying. And then in the Copa Shell AM consideration, Saito and Hiwatashi, Ryutaro Saito, the 127 driver, joint points leader along with Masafumi Hiwatashi. So those two are also tied, 28 points apiece, 1 win apiece last time out at Suzuka. So they will be looking to try and figure out who's on top this weekend, if nothing else. So a great grid of machinery. Our first of the Copa Shell runners is Shirasaki, the 109 car, lining up 9th on the grid. First of the Copa Shell AM runners is Masafumi Hiwatashi. Funny enough, it is Hiwatashi and Saito. 19th and 20th on the grid. They share the 10th row of the grid. They are the Copa Shell AM leaders on this grid. Of course, they are also the Copa Shell AM joint title leaders at this stage as well. So all 4 of our classes are very, very intriguing coming into this race. Trofeo Pirelli, of course, at the sharp end. But Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers, I suspect, will be up there as well. The returning Fujiwara, I think, is going to be a consideration for an overall podium, certainly. Fujiwara's record here in Ferrari Challenge Japan includes 2 Copa Shell championships in the Asia Pacific Championship of Yore. Has been racing in Ferrari Challenge intermittently since 2016 and has recently been racing single-seaters, won the Independent Cup of the 2023 F4 Japan Series, so has been plying his trade across single-seaters and tin tops, and is a driver that we can always expect to be good based on his previous efforts in the Ferrari Challenge community. Managed to finish 3rd in the Copa Shell race at Finale Mondiali in 2019 as well, and has clearly come on and developed as a driver since then. That's why he's been inserted into Trofeo Pirelli AM, and he was only a couple of tenths off of the 3rd place starter on that grid, Yudai Uchida. And if you're only a couple of tenths off Yudai Uchida in a Ferrari Challenge car, that means you're doing something right. So then the cars are rolling on the formation lap. It will, of course, be a rolling start for this race, the first of 2 races this weekend. It will be contested over 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Everyone just weaving, trying to get some heats into these tyres. The heat is beating down on the Fuji Speedway this weekend. The conditions are pretty well optimal at the moment. And of course, this circuit with an unrivaled backdrop, as you can see. A facility that is renowned as much for its quality as a venue as its own backdrop. Be Nobuhiro Imada who controls proceedings when this race gets underway. He will be the one to hopefully lead them into turn one as long as he gets a good start. He'll be very cautious of Ichida behind him. Ichida has a very quick trigger finger, perhaps better described as a quicker foot off the line. You see there, Fuji in the distance. What a venue this is. They're just going through 100R at the moment. Of course, that long double apex sweeper that makes up turns 4 and 5 of the layout. It is a big sweeping right-hander, which means the left front tyre in particular takes a big pounding through that corner. Of course, the Pirelli tyres here are great from a durability standpoint as well as a grip perspective. But over the course of the half hour, they might start to drop off a little bit if drivers aren't careful. Motohiko Isozaki there, third place among the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers alongside Akita. He had a decent showing at the Suzuka season opener. Of course, he was at Mugello just a few days ago, racing the Ferrari 296 for the first time. So Isozaki reconverging to the 488 Challenge Evo for this weekend in Ferrari Challenge Japan. And he seems to be adapting back to it nicely. Many interested eyes paired on these screens then. And a few interested camera lenses in the grandstands among the fans here this weekend. Here to see exciting Ferrari Challenge Japan racing. We delivered it in spades at the Japanese Grand Prix at a filled Suzuka circuit. Let's see what happens then when we head to Fuji. Of course, the first corner, we approach it so quickly. 670 brake horsepower delivered by these cars. And that run down to the first corner is a long one. They'll be approaching it at great speed, hopefully with brakes that are up to temperature. Imada will be the one who gets there first, so long as he gets a good launch. Iwasawa will be looking to try and secure an early lead, though, on what is effectively a showcase weekend for him in the Junior Talent Initiative car, the Ferrari Japan entry that is designed to showcase young superstars of the future in Japanese motorsport. Will he secure a Ferrari Challenge Japan victory? They form up through the painted grid slots, and in a few moments you will hear over 30 4-litre, well 3.9-litre V8s. Accelerators 1. Red lights on, red lights off. We are racing for the first time this weekend in Ferrari Challenge Japan, and the number one car, Yudai Uchida, with a very good start. He has the lead into the first corner, and Fujiwara might well follow him round into second place. Fujiwara on the outside into the first corner. Everybody very carefully picking their spots through the first corner, but Nobuhiro Imada has been leapfrogged in the very early going, and Fujiwara from Trofeo Pirelli AM, I said he might well be a consideration for an overall podium. He's got himself up into second place in the early going. He is, of course, your Trofeo Pirelli AM leader. Oh, he spins on the first run through 100R. That is not a good position to be in. Everybody tries to peel through and avoid him, and thankfully they have done. That was very, very scary stuff. Everybody looking for track space through all of these braking zones. We saw there that the 13 car continued on, and there it is. Fujiwara is still out there on the circuit at speed. Managed to gather that up actually quite elegantly, all things considered. But that has given Yudai Uchida quite the margin over Nobuhiro Imada. Imada, who would have been hoping to try and lead from the early stages, has instead got to chase down Yudai Uchida. Now, of course, last time out at Suzuka in race 2, those two drivers ended up making contact with each other. Mutual respect between them afterwards. I don't think any blame was held in the incident, but an incident there was. It was an incident that led to Yudai Uchida going through the gravel. There's Phil Kim. Phil Kim, who was one of the standouts in Copa Shell last time out in Ferrari Challenge Japan. He's looking to the inside there of Shioyama, and we'll see if he gets through. Side by side there, I think that's the 16 car of Akita. In fact, no, I think that might be Cold Max. I'm not quite sure the numbers on these cars just yet as they go through turn 3. But there is Yudai Uchida. That's the big story at the moment. The championship leader is back there at the front of the order where he feels he belongs, certainly. And there to the inside of the blue and silver car goes the number 13 Fujiwara. That's Kanji Yagura, I think, actually, that he just overtook. There's the 13 back into the overall top 10. In fact, I don't know if he ever dropped out of the top 10. Crossed the line in P10, is now at least up to 9th position. Indeed Yagura that he just went past, so ahead of him I believe that is our Copa Shell leader Yasutaka Shirasaki. So Shirasaki well in the top 10, which is a great effort for the Copa Shell leader. Your leader first time by in Copa Shell AM was Hiwatashi, running in 17th position. Uchida crosses the line, 0.9 of a second clear of our race leader. Sorry, 0.9 of a second clear of Imada, who was our pole sitter. But our leader, Yudai Uchida, starting from 3rd on the grid, got a really good start. Some shuffling up and down the order. But all of the major positions stay as advertised. Fujiwara is indeed up to 9th place and 5th place, sorry, within Trofeo Pirelli AM. 8th position for Yasutaka Shirasaki, leading in Copa Shell. Our Trofeo Pirelli drivers are denoted on your timing tower by the red numbers. The white numbers are those running in Pirelli AM, which is now led by Motohiko Isosaki. We didn't bring that up. Oh, and another moment for the 13 car. Fujiwara slow again. That time it was out of turn 6. Was it another moment? Yes, it was. I think he and Shirasaki may have got quite close together there. And the net result is the 13 car still slow. That must be a little more than just a driver error for the driver of the 13. Fujiwara may not get to finish this race. It's a big shame for him on his return to Ferrari Challenge Japan. Look at the gap, it's halved at the front of the order. Imada is closing in on Yudai Uchida, and right there with them is Iwasawa as well. It's going to be a 3-car battle at the front of the order before too long. Isosaki, Cold Max and Akita, your top 3 in Pirelli AM, 4th, 5th and 6th overall. Shirasaki still comfortably leading in the Trofeo, in Copa Shell. We get a replay of the start, and yeah, everyone accelerated after the point of the lights going out, I think. Imada just got a little bit caught out, and Uchida was indeed quick on the buzzer and found himself leading by turn 1. He was followed initially by Fujiwara, but Makoto Fujiwara seemingly not going much further in this race. Yudai Uchida at the front in the number 1 car, the reigning Ferrari Challenge Japan champion. I must say, good driving from all parties through the field, especially in the mid-pack, to get through that first corner all in one piece. It's a difficult place to get the braking right. Not everybody got the braking perfectly right, but everybody stayed out of each other's way. 13 car in then. That looks like the end of his race. But here is the start of a race for the lead, with Uchida, Imada and Iwasawa all in each other's tow. Down at the main straight here at Fuji, heading into the first corner. No party's close enough for a move, I don't think, but certainly an intriguing battle going on there at the front. That's Kunihiro, potentially, is it, that we're looking at here? In fact, no, this is a little bit further back. Nariki Kawasaki. And then Koji Ayama fighting out for 14th position. Also for 5th in the Copa Shell class. Ayama in the plain red machine. Ayama on his first appearance of the season. Didn't get his opportunity to race on the Japanese Grand Prix. Bill was initially entered, but ended up withdrawing from that race. There's Uchida. Look at the three of them so close together. Here is the 177 car that many people are keeping their eyes on, Maezawa. I think Maezawa may have just made up a position at the expense there of Takashi Toyoda. Toyoda, who has had some experience, I believe, in motorsport previously, but in his first appearance in Ferrari Challenge Japan. And I must say, Maezawa is getting his feet stuck in there as well, having a good battle further back there in the order. Meanwhile, our top three very, very close together this time. Iwasawa may just be playing the long game here, studying his competition, who have a lot more experience of this car. Both Uchida and Imada are long-term supporters and long-term front runners in Ferrari Challenge. You saw there Imada sliding the car through the first corner. Right on the edge of control there is Imada. Here's that battle we saw earlier on, Kawasaki and Ayama looks like he's got a very good run towards turn one here, looking to the outside line though. Will he jink to the inside before they get to the braking zone? No, not yet. Might try for a good run here out of the first corner. We've got another car having a moment further back. That's the 123 machine rather, falling back by the looks of it. Komatsu. Yoshifumi Komatsu dropping out of the top 25 with a bit of a moment coming out of the final corner. I think we might get a bit of a look at that now, and yeah, just trying to plant the power there, trying to keep Maezawa behind him. And Misaka Maezawa is up to 21st place as a result of that, and could be on for a Copa Shell Am podium. He currently sits third in Copa Shell Am. To the inside for the lead, meanwhile, goes Imada, side by side out of the final corner. Imada doesn't get a bad run out of the final turn, despite getting the nose cut off him. The front of the field now separated by less than a second as they come across the line. Uchida looked a little bit faster there down the straight. Got a better run, of course, out of the corner. Imada had a shallow entry into the final turn, but Imada clearly means business. Very late on the brakes there into turn one, just about gets it stopped. Of course, he has to worry about Iwasawa behind him as well. He cannot let go or just relax in his seat for any moment in this race. The three of them looked very evenly matched. They also looked quite evenly matched in qualifying as well. It was a qualifying session slightly disrupted by red flags, but they all looked pretty much of a muchness. And it looked to me like Iwasawa may be getting closer to the rear of Imada as we cut away there. We get a look instead at Kawasaki, who I think has just been overtaken by Yaneda there. Yes, indeed. Yaneda has gotten through into 15th position. So Masaru Yaneda is up a place for Cornes Osaka. It is the Rosso Scuderia car of Yudai Uchida that leads from Nobuhiro Imada. Rosso Scuderia is the dealership for both of those cars. And it is Rosso Scuderia that leads in Copa Dealer. Teams Championship, the Dealers Championship, and look at that. That's a move maybe on for second place. Iwasawa looking very, very eager here on the back of Nobuhiro Imada. We're 12 minutes into this race. He will know he doesn't have to make this move imminently, but if Imada starts to drive through the mirrors, has to start driving defensively against Iwasawa, of course, that could allow Yudai Uchida the opportunity to just drive away at the front, and that's the last thing that Iwasawa wants. So if Imada starts to get distracted, Iwasawa is going to need to dispatch him as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, further back, Motohiko Isozaki leads by 4.8 seconds in the Trofeo Pirelli AM class. You see him there in the back of shot. He runs 4th overall at the moment. It is, however, a lot closer for 2nd and 3rd in class. Coldmax there just ahead of Akita. These two had a fabulous battle in race 2 at Suzuka as well. In Trofeo Pirelli AM had a brilliant scrap all throughout the second phase of the race on the Japanese Grand Prix Sunday. As we take a look back to Ayama losing out there to Yaneda. Yaneda has made up 2 positions in roughly 2 laps there. Masaru Yaneda, was it a dive at turn 1? He was quite a way back, but he managed to get it to work. In fact, I think the issue more so was that Koji Ayama missed his braking point, leaving the door open. It is still Shirasaki that leads in the Copa Shell category. And in Copa Shell AM, it is Masafumi Hiwatashi that leads the way. Here's our overall lead battle, and it is still Yudai Uchida at the front, but this time Imada is a lot closer to the back of him. But once again there, through the final section of the circuit, Imada closed up, but Uchida then just chopped the nose off of him as they went on to the long main straight. And I don't think there are many straights in the world of motorsport where momentum is more critical. If you get a bad run out of that final corner, you may as well throw away the lap in qualifying. In race conditions, you're not afforded the opportunity to throw away laps, of course. Coldmax and Akita still very close together for 5th position overall and 2nd in Trofeo Pirelli AM. There's Deske as well, 4th in class at the moment. Great to see Deske back with us, another long-term Ferrari Challenge racer in the Asian region. Debuted all the way back in 2013. He wasn't with us for the season opener, but he is back at the helm of a Ferrari racing car, as he so loves to be this weekend. To the inside there looks Imada. Turn 10 at the moment. Now let's keep an eye on this if we can. Is Imada quicker through this final complex section of the circuit? Because I get the impression he might just be, because he always seems to end up welded to the rear of Uchida by the time they get to the final turn. However, Uchida keeps squeezing him out of the way as they approach the final corner. Yudai Uchida hasn't had a moment of peace all throughout the 2024 Ferrari Challenge Japan season, and this is why. Imada to the inside line. Oh, contact between the two of them. Oh, goodness me, that's a big, big moment for Nobuhiro Imada. Oh, goodness me. Uchida just tried to get the power down there. Rear end stepped out on him. And Nobuhiro Imada ends up on his roof. Safety car is out, you'll be unsurprised to hear. In fact, the red flag now showing on the start line gantry. That was a big, big moment. Never what we like to see. Uchida, no malice intended there. Was racing hard. He's lost the rear end, and unfortunately he and Nobuhiro Imada made contact. Cheetah's car looks to be okay. While the clock is ticking on the timing on your live pictures, I do believe that on the timing the clock has been stopped. It is now 10 past the hour, and the safety car rolls out onto the circuit, being followed by Yudai Uchida. So we are no longer under red flag. We will get this race back underway in just a few short moments. It will be Uchida leading Iwasawa at the front of the order. Motohiko, Isozaki, Cold Max and Akita will be your top 5, and I believe, based on the information on my timing screen, that Tsutomu Shimeyama, the Copa Shell leader, will be all the way up in 6th overall as well. That is a hugely exciting prospect there for Tsutomu Shimeyama. And the clock is now ticking again, as you can see on screen, so I believe the race now officially considered back underway, and we should see the cars return to racing speeds at the conclusion of this lap, all going well. That's not yet confirmed on the timing screen. I don't think we'll have to wait too long to see racing back underway. If you're just joining us, red flag for a good amount of time there, delaying matters. Yudai Uchida and Nobuhiro Imada colliding, coming out of the final corner. Imada having quite the spectacular moment, but he is okay. However, he will not be taking the restart. Yudai Uchida will instead be pursued now by Yugo Iwasawa and Motohiko Isozaki, the latter of whom is also leading in Trofeo Pirelli Am. 4 classes, Trofeo Pirelli at the sharp end, Pirelli Am always nipping at their heels. Copa Shell is your 3rd class of 4, and Copa Shell Am often reserved for some of the newcomers, some of the more veteran drivers. All of them, of course, getting great information, great data from their crews, supported often by expert drivers as well. And we have now got confirmation that the safety car will be in this lap, so Yudai Uchida will soon be able to launch that car back up to full speed. He's got a few corners, of course, before the main straight, so nothing yet. Iwasawa waiting in the wings for his opportunity. Isozaki, Akita and Cold Max there behind. Who will get a good launch? It was Uchida who got the best launch of anyone earlier on. Of course, a safety car restart is a different prospect than 2x2 rolling start, and Uchida has certainly made this a very slow approach to the race resuming, and I just wonder if he's intending to move up to racing speeds before they get to the final corner. I reckon he's going to drift out wide on the approach to the final turn and gun it. In fact, nope, he hasn't even waited that long. We are back to racing speeds then, and Yudai Uchida powers out of the final corner with Yugo Iwasawa just behind him. We're back to racing with almost exactly 10 minutes left on the clock here. They can't overtake, of course, before we're back past the start-finish line. And over the start-finish line goes our race leader. Yudai Uchida then leads the race from Iwasawa, from Isozaki. Isozaki is a good 3rd position there, nice and strong. And in fact, fact, we're now getting confirmation, of course, of the order that they're in post red flag, and we do have the 109 car of Yasutaka Shirasaki leading in Copa Shell. However, we got one car there out wide, and was that Shirasaki? I think that might have been, you know. Is that the 109 car slowing? I think it might just be Shirasaki, our former Copa Shell leader. It's a huge shame for him if that is the case, and that would hand the lead over to Tsutomu Shimoyama, who I think had just gotten past him before the red flag. But of course then on countback, Shimoyama was put back behind him. There's Kanji Yagura turning in behind him. Is that the one? The 192 car is the one that was struggling. So that's Kunihiro actually from third place in Copa Shell, who unfortunately has come to a halt. So it does look as though Shirasaki is still there. Of course, he is in a similarly tricolored car, but his is the blue machine, so he's still there in 7th overall. He's another Rosso Scuderia driver, just like our overall leader Yuda Uchida. Uchida and Iwasawa pulling away from Motohiko Isozaki at the moment. Cold Max Nikita not too far back. Then it's Yagura, then it's Shirasaki alongside Tsutomu Shimoyama. These are the top two in the Copa Shell category at the moment. And up into 10th place overall is Masaru Yaneda. Yaneda is on it. He's side by side here at the moment though with Phil Kim. Phil Kim braver on the brakes into turn one, but too brave on the brakes. Or is he? No, he gets it stopped. Nicely done actually by Phil Kim. He is, lest we forget, pretty much brand new to racing himself. That was very nicely done. He's just ahead then, 10th overall and 3rd critically in Copa Shell. This is a fight for 3rd in the Copa Shell class. Atsushi Iritani, who is just ahead of these drivers, is in Trofeo Pirelli Am, your top two in Copa Shell, of course, 7th and 8th overall at the moment. Deske from Koneshiba has not taken the start, so we've got 29 cars out there on circuit. There you see the movers and shakers up the order. Look at Ayama, 8 places up for him. He's had a very good run from 21st to 13th so far. Top two go across the line then and will be split still by less than a second. It was 0.78 last time by, it's 0.76 this time, so no gain, no loss. There's Shirasaki, there is Shimoyama fighting it out for the Copa Shell lead. Shimoyama getting very close towards the end of the straight there. Almost like he found an 8th gear towards the end of the straight. Slipstream has its effect, of course. And Shirasaki will not feel that comfortable in the Copa Shell lead. Certainly, he has company. Shirasaki, who finished 2nd in last year's Copa Shell Japan, leads the standings this year at the moment. Tsutomu Shimoyama has really come on song this weekend. Didn't do bad at Suzuka, but has immediately leapt up to the role of class front runner. On his 2nd appearance of the season, Shimoyama making Shirasaki drive through the mirrors. He is feeling the pressure, and so is Yuda Uchida. To the inside goes Iwasawa, can't quite get it done. But Uchida giving him a wide berth. Interesting that they're making that move into the final corner. Of course, that's a high-risk, high-reward strategy, because yes, if you catch the driver ahead of you unknown or unwitting, and you can get through. However, if you get your nose cut off, it affects your momentum all the way down the straight into the arguably the best overtaking zone of the lap, that being turn 1. It's cars 1 and 2 that are 1 and 2 there. Here's Kawasaki once again fighting it out with Ayama. The 169 car waiting in the wings, and just behind them is the 104 of Miura, who wants to get involved in this as well. Kazutaka Miura for the Auto Cavallino dealership. Debuted last year in Ferrari Challenge at Suzuka. This is his first full season of Ferrari Challenge competition. Here's your leading pair then. Uchida and Iwasawa, and oh goodness me, it's getting very close, isn't it? Uchida and Iwasawa are really scrapping this one out at the moment. Can Uchida hold on? We've seen just how feisty he can be when it comes to defensive driving on several occasions this season already. Uchida once again, rear end stepping out on him, coming out of the final corner. Has Iwasawa got the opportunity ahead of him? In his eyes, I'm sure the neon lights will be flashing. He will see the opportunity. But it didn't look like he got the best run out of the final turn after all. Uchida and Iwasawa split by less than half a second at the front of the order. Motohiko Isosaki is doing a great job of building his gap in third overall. Currently on for that Trofeo Pirelli Am victory, the all-important maximum point score for him, as he fights for championships on multiple continents this year. Iwasawa just clipping the grass a little bit there at the first apex of 100R. You've got to be a little bit careful with that. Can unsettle the car. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Of course, this race distance is set for 30 minutes plus 1 lap. We've been lapping in the 1 minute 44s at the front of the field, so I'm in two minds as to whether we will see. Yes, we will. We're going to get the final lap board in a little over 1 lap's time. So this will be the third last lap of the race. Next time by, we will be beginning the penultimate lap. Once the clock hits 0, we get 1 additional lap, which means 1 additional lap for Yudai Uchida to stave off all of this pressure. Uchida and Iwasawa are going to be side by side down the main straight this time. Iwasawa had a very, very good run out of T1. Very good run indeed. And look at them, neck and neck across the line. 0.02 of a second between them on the timing screen as they cross the line. Iwasawa later on the brakes. Is it too late on the brakes? Uchida with the inside line. He's got the favoured position. He's got the track space. And he squeezes Iwasawa out there. Yudai Uchida retains the lead for now. But for how much longer can he withstand the pressure? In theory, he needs to do so for 1 3/4 laps of this race. And then the checkered flag will be his to see first. That was a spin there for Coldmax. Coldmax having a moment there. That's put him behind Kanji Yagura. And Akita has gotten past him as well. So Coldmax there falling off the Trofeo Pirelli Am podium. Coldmax having a spin, and Kanji Yagura now up to 3rd in Trofeo Pirelli Am. Akita up to 2nd in class. All of that going on as the leaders continue to fight. Still in Shell Am, it is Hiwatashi that leads from Saito. And Maezawa, on his debut, Yasaku Maezawa, is still on for a Copa Shell Am podium at the moment, down in 17th overall. But your top two, very, very close together. And Iwasawa makes the dive at the last corner. They're side by side out of the turn. Uchida with the momentum out of the corner, though. got the power down sooner, had the smoother exit out of the corner, of course. Iwasawa on the inside line had a worse angle to deal with. Uchida across the line. He shouldn't see the checkered flag this time. This is indeed the final lap of the race. So clock has ticked down to 0. We're now into that +1 lap. This is the final lap of the race. This is the last stand for Yugo Iwasawa, his last opportunity to get past Yudai Uchida in what has been an action-packed race in Ferrari Challenge Japan. There has been no race that has not delivered scintillating action so far this year in Ferrari Challenge Japan. We are afforded the luxury of having some brilliant drivers in this paddock. Yudai Uchida, the defending Ferrari Challenge Japan champion, a multiple-time champion in the Asian region when taking into account the previous Asia Pacific Series as well. And this year, with the Ferrari Japan entry, that number 2 car being rotated among some young stars, he has had quite a few pretenders to the top step. He is yet to have taken the top step. It was Furatani winning both races on his one appearance of the year in the Ferrari Japan car last time out at Suzuka. Uchida, though, was the first of the season regulars as we over the inside line there, Iwasawa not quite close enough. Uchida should do it then. This time he is going to be first on the road. He was leading the championship among the regulars, but he didn't get a win to this point in the season. And finally, Yudai Uchida can claim his first win of the season. Yudai Uchida crosses the line first. Iwasawa just 4/10 back from him. Isosaki crosses the line to take third place, flashing the headlights at his team as he crosses the line to win in Trofeo Pirelli Am and take third overall ahead of Akita. And Kanji Yagura does round out the Trofeo Pirelli podium, and winning in Copa Shell is Shirasaki as well. The 109 car, Yasutaka Shirasaki, wins in Copa Shell. The Shell Am battle will be coming across the line shortly. We did have a spinner there coming out of the last corner. Didn't see who that was from our vantage point. Flashing the headlights, the 109 car. In fact, that's the 129, sorry. That is our Copa Shell winner. Copa Shell Am winner, Hiwatashi, Masufumi Hiwatashi winning in Copa Shell Am. And third place in Copa Shell Am will indeed be headed the way of Yusaku Meizawa, or will it? Because here he comes to the line now, and it looks like he's got some company there from Takashi Toyoda. But he does indeed cross the line, and has in fact already crossed the line, my apologies. That was a battle further back in the field that we were looking at there, but a great result for all of our drivers on those class podiums. Yudai Uchida, though, is your overall race winner. An interrupted race, a race with a lot going on. And your winners, Yudai Uchida in Trofeo Pirelli, and of course overall Motohiko Isosaki winning in Trofeo Pirelli Am. Copa Shell going to Yasutaka Shirasaki. He also takes 7th overall. And your winner in Shell Am, the 129 car, Masafumi Hiwatashi for European version. There is your 109 car. That is Shirasaki. We're getting a look here. Shirasaki did lose out towards the end of the race there to his combatant there, but managed to get back through. That was the silver bullet of Shimoyama trying to get by. Some great scrapping behind them, behind the leaders while we were watching them fight. Shimoyama, very brave on multiple occasions into turn 1, but it never quite paid off for him. And I think Shimoyama ultimately lost out on 2nd because of all of that as well. Where did Shimoyama end up finishing? No, he did take 2nd in Copa Shell, but tried on multiple occasions there to get back past Yasutaka Shirasaki. Some great scrapping in the overall lead battle, some great scrapping as well for the Copa Shell win. But it will be Yudai Uchida on the top step of the podium, winning overall, winning in Trofeo Pirelli. For the first time this year, feels very weird to say. He will now officially lead the championship. Of course, Furatani was strictly our points leader coming out of Suzuka, but with him only competing in the first round, it was always going to be he or Imada, Uchida or Imada leading the championship at the end of this one, and it is Yudai Uchida. There is the Motohiko Isosaki car as well. Motohiko is often one to celebrate, and he looks happy with that. A third overall as well. An overall podium for Isosaki. And he will be delighted with his efforts in that race. I'm sure Akita will be very happy with second in class as well. And Kanji Yagura had a very good race as well. 5th overall ultimately. And 3rd in Pirelli Am, a very good result for Kanji. Coldmax will be disappointed with the spin that he had there towards the end of the race. That cost him 2nd in class, cost him the podium in Trofeo Pirelli Am, but he'll come back swinging on Sunday here at Fuji. There are your class podium drivers pulled up. Celebrations as well for Hiwatashi. I think I just heard first victory as well for Masafumi Hiwatashi. He will be very happy, I'm sure, when he gets a step up on that podium. Debuted last year, finished 4th in last year's Copa Shell Am, Hiwatashi, and that win will establish him as a potential contender. Going into the rest of the season, was already joint points leader along with Ryutaru Saito.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
And what about this guy? Yusaku Maezawa.
We started far behind. Tomorrow is another day.
Yeah, another day.
No crash?
Yeah. Yes. Boom.
Just some of the conversations going on around the paddock. And Maezawa with a podium on his debut in a very, very strong Copa Shell Am class as well. That is a big headline for Maezawa. Of course, comes in with a lot of experience driving supercars, collects supercars just as he collects fine art, especially modern fine art. And seems to be making the step over to track competition. Not with ease, it's never easy, but certainly with a deft touch. So far this season, Ferrari Challenge Japan has been very, very fun to watch. That was no exception. Uchida wins it then from Yugo Iwasawa. Motohiko Isosaki taking 3rd place and winning in Trofeo Pirelli Am. Yasutaka Shirosaki 7th overall, winning in Copa Shell behind Akita Yagura and Coldmax. Shimoyama following him behind in the Copa Shell class. Down in 14th place, Masafumi Hiwatashi taking 14th, winning in Copa Shell Am ahead of Saito and debutant Yusaku Maezawa. And 28 finishers eventually. Takashi Kurakawa rounding out the 28 cars that were able to take the flag. We had fabulous fighting all through the pack. And I'm sure there will be plenty of discussion in the fabulous Ferrari hospitality unit after this. Talking about the battles they had out there on the circuit. Discussing all of the action, and there was plenty of it here today. Of course, there will be more racing from Ferrari Challenge Japan on Sunday as well. I believe we are going to get to see the drivers up on the podium before the conclusion of this broadcast as well. But do remember, if you're feeling a little bit unquenched and you want to see some more Ferrari Challenge action today, we are also going to see some racing from the UK as well. Ferrari Challenge UK this weekend will be on the air live and in living colour as well from Alton Park as well. So a double billing of Ferrari Challenge racing across the continents this weekend. So if you are, wherever you are in the world, if you are around when Ferrari Challenge UK is on the air later on, do make sure you watch some of that. This is some highlights then of the race. It was Nobuhiro Imada with that pole position, the blue an Italian flagged car, but his Rosso Scuderia teammate Yudai Uchida led it into the first corner. Had an absolutely wonderful start at the beginning of that race. Did Uchida, did everything right off the line and would hold the lead. He has led every single race so far this year into turn one, has Yudai Uchida, but at this particular first corner he was yet to be a race winner. He was hoping to change that today. Was being pursued by Makoto Fujiwara, but Fujiwara would soon have a moment of his own. The Trofeo Pirelli AM leader carried great momentum through 100R, asked a bit too much though of the rear of the car, ended up in a spin but continued on nicely there. No time to gather up his thoughts when he spins in the middle of a field of cars, but he knew that. Masaru Yoneda, meanwhile, in Copa Shell, was making some great headway up the order. This was him getting past Kawasaki. They would have a drag race down to turn one, and Nariki Kawasaki would have to plead second best on that occasion in his corner Shiba entry. Masaru Yoneda getting through, was determined to get more points on the board, of course. Coming into this weekend, second in Copa Shell, quite a way back from Yasutaka Shirasaki. And managed to get himself past Ayama as well. Ayama in his first appearance of the season. Yoneda eventually working his way well up the order, but then a red flag, courtesy of Nobuhiro Imada's collision with this man, Yudai Uchida, but he was okay, and we would soon resume racing. We'd see some great battling from the silver bullet of Tsutomu Shimoyama. He would be right there in the wheel tracks of Shirasaki. Shirasaki, though, braked at the right point, watched Shimoyama disappear off into the distance at turn one, and Shirasaki would continue his 100% record in Copa Shell. This man, Yudai Uchida, would finally get a win on the board in Trofeo Pirelli. But a lot of smiles, a lot of happy faces on the various podiums. Plenty of celebrations to come this evening for our Ferrari Challenge Japan drivers. All of them very well deserved. We had some great racing there. Again, if you did see Imada's moment earlier on in the day, he is A-OK. And for Yudai Uchida, he is going to be more than okay with finally getting to that top step. He was very respectful, very happy to receive his trophies last time out at Suzuka, but now at Fuji he will get to climb the mountain to the top step of the podium. Don't worry, the podium isn't actually on Mount Fuji, and he will relish in the glory of a race win for the first time this season. Of course, success in Ferrari Challenge is nothing new to Yudai Uchida, the reigning champion in Ferrari Challenge Japan 2020 and 2022 Ferrari Challenge Asia Pacific champion. Has competed at the highest levels of endurance racing within Japan. And first raced in Challenge Japan, or first raced in Ferrari Challenge, sorry, all the way back in 2019. Was immediately a race winner in Ferrari Challenge. Really got to grips with the 488 quickly. Of course, it'll be interesting to see the drivers who have become so adept in the 488. It'll be interesting to see how they transfer over to the 296 once that car is introduced into the National Series for 2025. Expecting that car to appear in Challenge UK and Challenge Japan in 2025. And the personnel, the supporters and crews of the drivers all awaiting their podium. Podiums, plural, of course, 4 classes, all of whom will get the opportunity to stand on the podium, as I understand it.
ただいまよりフェラーリチャレンジトロフェオピレリジャパン2024ラウンド2レース1の暫定表彰式を行います。表彰式の進行を務めます久保田康介です。どうぞよろしくお願いします。それではまずはじめにトロフェオピレリクラスの表彰です。選手をお呼びしましょう。第2位カーナンバー2フェラーリジャパン岩沢優吾選手、どうぞお越しください。
Welcomed onto the podium, then second step of the podium to Yugo Iwasawa. And Yuda Yoshida taking the top step in the Trofeo Pirelli class, and of course our overall winner.
プレゼンターは富士スピードウェイ大会組織委員長森谷正弘様よりトロフィーが贈られます。
Trophies being presented.
内田選手おめでとうございます。
And it's a big relief for Uchida to have the top
そして
step
ピレリクラス
and the
1位の
number
選手
one
には
trophy.
ピレリジャパンモータースポーツマネージャー五北健よりトロフェオピレリトロフィーが贈られます。
And the Pirelli prize awarded by the motorsport manager for
おめでとうございます。
Pirelli Japan. Uchida
そ
cements
れでは
his
フォトセッションへ
championship
と参り
lead
ます。
with this
ま
win.
ずは選手のみで行います。さあ皆さん、選手が笑顔になりますように拍手をお願いできますでしょうか。フォトセッションです。
And they celebrate their win, pose for the pictures.
それではもう一度参りましょう。フォトセッションです。どうぞ。
I don't want to get away with the local announcing. Fabulous work
ご協
from
力ありがとうございま
our
す。
colleague down there on the podium.
続きましてシャンパンファイトへと参ります。
And I thought there was something missing. There's the bottles. And now Uchida, who's done this champagne spraying lark many
参りま
times,
しょう。シャンパン
will
ファイト
probably... oh, he's not going to share it with Iwasawa. He's just going to shoot it to the sky.
トロフェオピレリクラス第2位はカ
Respectful
ーナンバー
between
2
both
岩
of them.
沢優吾選手、そして優勝はカーナンバー1内田雄大選手でした。皆様大きな拍手をお送りください。
And so Uchida vacates the podium. And Iwasawa follows suit.
以上でトロフェオピレリクラスの暫定表彰式を終了します。
I believe we will next see the Pirelli Am podium. I think we're going to stay with it for all 4 podiums, but certainly all of our drivers who finished on the class podiums will get the opportunity to stand on the steps here at Fuji. Another of the most famous circuits in the world. It's always a privilege to get to stand up on the podium.
選手をお呼びしましょう。第3位はカーナンバー51コーンズ大阪矢倉寛治選手。
Kanji Yagura welcomed onto the podium. Third step for him.
コーンズ名古屋秋田
Very
選
good
手。
race.
そして優勝はカーナンバー55コーンズ
second
芝
place.
磯崎元彦選手。どうぞお越しください。
But it's Motohiko Isosaki who will get to stand on the top step today.
それで
His
は
first
トロフィー
Trofeo
の贈呈
Pirelli
です。
Am win
プレゼンターは
of the Ferrari
Ferrari
Challenge
Japan
Japan
プレゼン
season.
トドナート・ロマニエロよりトロフィーが贈られます。
High-ranking Ferrari officials, high-ranking Pirelli officials making these presentations, of course. The Ferrari Challenge weekend's an important fixture
磯崎選手おめでとうござい
on
ます。
the Ferrari calendar for all of our partners and all of our high-level
そして
executives at
ピレリ
Ferrari.
アマクラス1位の選手にはピレリジャパンモータースポーツマネージャー五
It's
北
not
健よ
more
りト
important
ロ
for
フェオ
anyone
ピレリ
than
ト
the
ロフィーが
drivers.
贈ら
They
れま
love
す。
this. There's
お
the
めでとうござ
Pirelli
いま
Award
す。
for Motohiko Isosaki.
それではフォトセッションを行います。
I don't know the
皆さん
exact maths on
拍手の
this,
ご
but I
準備
believe
よろしいでしょうか。参りましょう。フォトセッションです。どうぞ。
I believe Isosaki will have done something like 15 races already this year, which must be the highest in the
プレゼンターのお二人も
paddock.
ご登壇ください。
In fact, it's probably more than that, thinking about it.
さあ
Been a
もう一度
very
参ります。
busy driver so
メーカ
far
ー
this
ビッグ
year
スマイル
as
拍手
Isosaki.
をお願いします。ありがとうございま
He's
す。
already opened his season, of course, in
続き
two
まして
Ferrari
シャン
Challenge
パンファイト
series.
です。久しぶりですね。
And Motohiko
さあご準備よろしいです
likes
か。
the trophies, but I think he enjoys this bit a bit more.
よろしいですか。参りましょう。私の掛け声でいきますよ。シャンパンファイ
Same
ト。
applies to all three. Yagura, Akita, and Isosaki.
さあ
Spraying the champagne here at Fuji.
第3位はカーナンバー51矢倉寛治選手。第2位はカーナンバー16秋田選手。そして第1位はカーナンバー55
think
磯崎
Motohiko got some in
選手で
his
した。
eye.
皆さん大きな拍手をお送りください。
Next up then, Copa Shell. We saw that brilliant scrap at the end for the Copa Shell honours.
以上で
Tsutomu
トロフェオピレリ
Shimoyama
アマクラスの暫定表彰式を終了します。
Worked very hard to try and get through. But it would ultimately be Yasutaka Shirasaki. Continuing his 100% record. Shirasaki, a doctor in his spare time, specialises in heart surgeries and is as composed as you'd expect him to be given his proficiency in high-pressure scenarios, and we saw that there in that battle. Shimoyama was making the dives, but
続き
Shirasaki
まし
knew
てコッパシェル
I break
コ
at
ッ
the
パシェル
right
クラスの
point,
表彰
I
です。
stay ahead.
選手をお呼びしましょう。第3位はカーナンバー124コーンズ大阪米田勝選手。どうぞお越しください。
Masari Yaneda to the third step
第2位は
of the
カーナン
podium.
バー199ニコル・
in
コン
Copa
ペティションネキム・フィル選手。どうぞお越しください。
The driver of the silver bullet, Tsutomu Shimayama, taking second. And Yasutaka Shirasaki stands on the top step. His 100% record is intact.
Fuji Speedway 大会組織委員長森谷様が行います。おめでとうございます、米田選手。
Third place trophy delivered then to Masaru Yaneda. I expect Yaneda to be fighting for Kopashel victory on Sunday. He looks like he has really good pace here in race distances at Fuji. It's going to take some beating, that 109 car. Yasutaka Shirasaki is very impressive at the wheel of that 109 car from Rosso Scuderia. It will be Rosso Scuderia who continue to lead in Copa Dealer as well, with a victory for Shirasaki, with a victory for Yudai Uchida in Fefeo Pirelli.
ありがとうございます。続きましてシャンパンファイトです。
Champagne, round 3, Copa Shell edition. Shirasaki has surgical precision in his favour, so he should be a good shot with a champagne bottle.
参りましょう。シャンパンファイト!
Although he wasn't the first one to fire. Great stuff. Oh, again, the eyes, the eyes. Don't do that to poor Mr. Shimoyama, he needs that tomorrow. Tsutomu Shimoyama. Shimoyama-san will be fighting hard to try and get that first win of the season next time. In less than 24 hours, when these drivers go at it again, I expect our next driver onto the podium is going to get a big cheer. He's got a lot of staff here helping him out. Yusaku Maezawa, in his racing debut, is going to be our next man onto the podium. Third step of the podium in Copa Shell for him. And that will be a popular result for the very, very well-known businessman. He dreams of space, but for Yusaku Maezawa, he's about to experience his first high in racing. Race 1 is in the books, and so is his first trip to the podium. Yusaku Maezawa is up on the podium for the first time. Here comes our winner in class as well to join them up there.
続きましてジェントルマンドライバーをお呼びしましょう。カーナンバー166コーンズ芝豊田隆選手です。どうぞお越しください。
Top 3 up there on the podium. In fact, we've got 4 up on the podium.
それではトロフィーの贈
Brilliant
呈
with
です。
my faces.
プレゼ
I'm
ンター
not
は
quite
フ
sure
ェラー
who's
リジャ
joined
パン
us up
モー
there
ター
as
ス
well,
ポーツ
but
ダイ
on
レ
the
クター
top step
稲垣光次よりトロフィー
it
が
is
贈られます。
Hiwatashi Saito on the second step of the podium. And Maezawa on the third step presented his trophy.
そして斉藤選手トロフィーが贈られました。
Second step of the podium belongs to Ryotaro Saito. And with a spirited lift of the trophy,
そしてジェントルマンドライバーの豊田選手
Masafumi
にトロフィーが贈られます。
Hiwatashi for European version celebrating.
それではフォトセッションを行います。
Drivers being directed then
onto
the top step for the pictures. And let's see who comes out on top in Copa Am tomorrow as well. That's going to be a big story, I think, this year. Copa Am looks very competitive, and I think we're going to have a lot of talented new racers coming in as well throughout the season, newcomers to racing. A lot of them, though, come in with a lot of experience driving fast cars. And we've seen how effective that experience is through Yusaku Mezawa today on his debut. And for one last time in this broadcast, there's some champagne to contend with. But not all parties deciding to stay in the firing line, which is probably for the best. Doing this for the first time in your career must be something incredibly special. Oh my goodness. That was the most aggressive champagne spray that we saw there from Masafumi Iwatashi. Well, there you go. That is our fourth and final podium here from Fuji. Respect all round from all of our drivers. They will celebrate this evening with each other and get ready to go racing again on Sunday. We'll be racing again just after 1 p.m. local time for race 2 of the weekend. We look forward to bringing you that in less than 24 hours time. Make sure you join us for race 2. Race 1 was a corker, and we expect all the same again from Ferrari Challenge Japan with race 2 later on. One last look at the results. It's Yudai Uchida who tops the timing screens in that race. A race interrupted by red flags, a race where a lot went on, but it is Yudai Uchida at the top of the screens on Saturday in Ferrari Challenge Japan. We've seen our winners up on the podium, and we can now prepare to do it all again on Sunday at the famous, legendary, and always thrilling Fuji Speedway. Thanks for joining us.